We were listening to a song the other day, and Jane surprised us all by saying, "Oh, you know that band didn't originally write that song. It's a cover of an old one." We didn't know, and sure enough, she was right. It was a retake of a song that had been written years ago. That happens an awful lot. Well, why does that happen? Well, it happens because someone really likes a particular song and thinks, "Oh, I'd love to sing that again. I'd love to write that out again." And what we've got today is, you could call a cover a remake here in Psalm 53. A remake, a cover of what? Psalm 14. They're almost identical. They both begin, "The fool has said in his heart, there is no God." Now in Psalm 14, the slight difference is towards the end. The focus is on God delivering the righteous, whereas here towards the end in 53, the focus is on God defeating the wicked. And yet it's an incredible truth that's so important to sing about, to hear about, to read about again and again. For those that deny God, reject him, they're foolish. And yet for those that trust God and wait and depend on his salvation, they will be blessed and rewarded wonderfully. Now, some of the commentators have shared and said, when the question's asked, how come these songs and psalms are so similar? Someone has said, well, despite the words being almost exactly the same, probably the music that was set to it was completely different. So you could sing these songs together, like the Jews sang all these songs as part of their worship, and yet they may have sounded very different, and yet the truths are the same. The truths are that it's foolhardy to live your life without God. In fact, we should pity those friends, family that we know who reject God and deny his existence, because for them it will be a very bitter end. Verse 4 says, will evildoers never learn? And the answer is no, they don't, because 3,000 years on from this song being written, people have rejected God still again and again. They've turned their back on him. And yet the song is ultimately a wonderful song of hope for God's people, asking, depending on him for salvation. He says in verse 6, "Oh, that salvation would come out of Zion," Zion being Jerusalem, God's special place. And of course we know Jesus Christ came, lived, died there in Jerusalem, in our place to forgive us our sins and bring us salvation. Oh, how wise we are to trust in him who brings salvation. Let's rejoice in that. Let's sing that song. And let's point those who are foolish to the hope we have before it's too late.